My radiant soul, a trembling shift has moved through the unseen realms, and Archangel Michael has pressed this message urgently into my spirit for you. The moment you opened this, the atmosphere around your life began to vibrate, because this is not an ordinary warning. A spiritual battle has been detected around your destiny, and someone, knowingly or unknowingly, has been trying to delay a miracle that was already released with your name on it. Michael reveals that a hand has been tampering with divine timing, bending moments, stirring confusion, and placing invisible weight on doors that should have already opened. But heaven has stepped in today, because your miracle cannot be silenced any longer. From the very start of your journey, you were marked for accelerated blessings. Angels were assigned to guide you, to guard you, to carry you into a higher purpose. But the enemy observed your breakthrough season approaching, and suddenly resistance began. Unexplained delays, strange disappointments, prayers that felt blocked, moments where your spirit was heavy without reason. Michael now exposes that these were not random storms. They were engineered distractions designed to slow your momentum so you would stop right at the threshold of your blessing. What you felt was not weakness. It was the collision between heaven's promise and someone's spiritual interference. Listen closely. Michael says there is a person whose energy has been pulling at your progress. This person is not always an enemy in the physical world. They may smile, stand near you, or even claim to support you. But in the spirit, their intentions, jealousy, or emotional projections have created resistance. Their words have carried weight. Their doubt has released shadows. Their fear has tangled itself into your path like invisible vines. But today, Archangel Michael draws his sword of divine fire to sever everything that has attached to your blessing without permission. A miracle was meant to reach you weeks ago. Something aligned, something shifted, something opened, and then suddenly it paused. You felt it. You sensed it. Your soul whispered, "It should have happened by now." You weren't wrong. Michael confirms that heaven released it, but interference created turbulence in the delivery. But now your miracle is being pulled back into acceleration, because when Michael steps into a battle, delay cannot survive. Nothing can resist the fire of a divine warrior. As you hear this, something in your spirit is awakening. You can feel the truth. You can sense that this message is unlocking clarity. Michael says the block is breaking as you listen, because awareness itself is a weapon. Once darkness is exposed, it loses power. And today, the blockage that tried to hold your miracle hostage is cracking, shaking, and collapsing under the weight of divine intervention. The spiritual countdown has begun, and your breakthrough is drawing near. But listen, chosen one, before this miracle appears, Michael needs you to stay alert. The enemy often fights hardest right before a blessing arrives. This is the moment to stay grounded, stay prayerful, stay connected, because the next shift is powerful, so powerful that the one who tried to delay it will be shocked when they see what you suddenly step into. No hand on earth or influence in the spirit can stop a miracle defended by Michael himself. Heaven is already rearranging the path ahead of you. A reversal is coming. A release is coming. A reward is coming. And Michael says, no more delay. Before you move forward, pause for a breath, because the next revelation in this message will shake your understanding of what has been happening behind the scenes. Hold on. You'll want to hear what unfolds next. Type "I break the blockage" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 1444 is now active. Beloved heart of light, there is a deeper layer to this revelation that Archangel Michael is urging you to understand, because what has been happening around you is not a simple delay. It is a targeted disruption designed to shake the foundation of your confidence. Michael shows that the interference surrounding your miracle has not only attempted to slow the blessing itself, but has also tried to cloud your discernment, distort your intuition, and weaken your spiritual clarity. This is why, in recent days, you may have felt confused about decisions you normally would make easily. You might have felt uncertain about people you once trusted, or strangely disconnected from your own inner voice. This is not a coincidence. It is evidence of spiritual tampering. But Michael steps forward now to restore what was taken, to reclaim the clarity that belongs to you, and to pull you back into alignment with your original divine timing. You were created with a unique spiritual rhythm, a specific pattern in which blessings and breakthroughs are designed to unfold for you. When you live in that rhythm, miracles flow naturally, opportunities find you effortlessly, and guidance becomes clear. But when someone's energy, intention, or shadow presses against that rhythm, it creates static in the atmosphere around you. This static shows up as hesitation, second-guessing, emotional heaviness, or sudden discouragement. Michael reveals that this is exactly what has been happening. The interference was meant to disconnect you from your natural spiritual flow so that you would lose momentum right before the moment heaven prepared for you. But you must know this truth. Your rhythm cannot be stolen, only distorted temporarily. And now that light has exposed the distortion, your rhythm is returning with force. Michael shows an image of your path, once wrapped in shadows, now being illuminated by a sudden burst of golden clarity. This light breaks through layers of fog that were intentionally placed around you. Someone, consciously or unconsciously, has been sending energy of doubt in your direction. This person may not even fully understand the spiritual consequences of their thoughts, but Michael confirms that their vibration has pressed against your progress. Their envy has whispered resistance into the atmosphere. Their silent comparison with your journey created a subtle pull on your blessings. They may not be evil in intent, but their emotions created interference nonetheless. And yet, no matter how thick the energy became, heaven never removed its eyes from you. Michael emphasizes something important. Your spirit sensed the interference before your mind understood it. This is why you have been feeling spiritually restless lately. This is why certain names, conversations, or memories have been surfacing in your awareness. Your soul was identifying the source even before your mind could form the thought. This is the power of your intuition, and it is the reason heaven chose to deliver this message to you in this exact moment. You are not imagining the heaviness. You are not misreading the signs. Your spirit has been aware of the delay long before you put words to it. But now, because you are hearing this, heaven is removing the blindfold completely. Something has been happening behind the scenes that you are not meant to carry alone. Michael has been warring for you in the invisible realms. He shows that in the past week, at least 3 moments could have turned in your favor, but each of them encountered unexpected resistance. Conversations that should have brought breakthrough were interrupted. Opportunities that were practically guaranteed suddenly pause. People who were ready to help you became silent or distracted. You wondered why this happened so suddenly, but Michael reveals that none of these pauses were natural. There was a spiritual hand pushing against your momentum. But now, that hand is being removed, and the path ahead is clearing with divine authority. Michael also shows that this delay served one unexpected purpose. It exposed the person whose energy has been affecting your journey. Before this interference, their presence blended in with everyone else. But once they pushed against your blessing, heaven allowed you to feel the shift. Their intentions, their words, their doubts, or their emotional projections created a ripple in your spirit that cannot be ignored anymore. Archangel Michael is not revealing this to spark fear, but to spark awareness. You are being prepared for a season where only aligned people can stay close to you. Your miracle requires purity of environment, purity of intention, and purity of support. Anyone who carries hidden shadows cannot walk with you into what is coming. This next part of the message carries an insight that will change how you perceive the delay entirely. Michael says the block is crumbling, and what is coming toward you now is bigger than what was held back. The delay did not shrink your blessing. It expanded it. What was paused is returning with acceleration, multiplied, refined, and divinely protected. The next revelation will take you deeper into how heaven is realigning everything for you, and why the person who interfered will no longer be able to touch your destiny. Hold this moment closely, because the breakthrough is closer than you think. Before you move, wait for what comes next. This unfolding is about to get even more powerful. Type "I rise in divine timing" in the comments if this is awakening your spirit. Blessing code 2299 is now released. Precious one chosen by the light, Archangel Michael is drawing even closer now, and the weight of his presence surrounds this moment with a seriousness that cannot be ignored. What he is about to reveal to you bridges the gap between what you have sensed, what you have feared, and what you have unknowingly endured in silence. This is the part of your journey that many people never truly understand, because spiritual delays do not always appear as obstacles. Sometimes they hide themselves inside conversations that drain your spirit, environments that dim your clarity, or people whose intentions are masked behind familiarity. Michael shows that the force trying to delay your miracle has been operating through subtle openings. Moments when your guard was lowered, moments when your heart was vulnerable, moments when exhaustion made you slow down long enough for interference to slip through. But Michael declares that this is where everything begins to shift. There is something he wants you to see clearly. The delay you have been experiencing was not simply an attack, it was an attempt to change the direction of your destiny. Someone or something sought to either reroute you or make you question the path heaven placed you on. This interference created confusion around decisions you previously felt confident about. It stirred doubts you had already overcome. It planted questions that were not born from your spirit, but from energy sent to disrupt your flow. Michael reveals that this is spiritual strategy, an intentional effort to weaken your alignment so you would miss the moment heaven had prepared. But what the enemy attempted to distort, heaven is about to restore with precision and power. Michael is showing an image of you standing at the edge of a gate that has been locked by invisible pressure. You felt the gate was ready to open. You sensed the movement. You could even feel the air changing around you. And then, without warning, something resisted. This resistance was not natural, and it was not random. Someone's fear, someone's envy, or someone's silent wish to see you delayed placed weight on the gate of your breakthrough. The spiritual realm responds to intention, even when intention is unspoken. The energy directed towards you created a temporary obstruction, but Michael now stands with his sword positioned at that gate, prepared to break through what was never meant to hold you back. The gate is not just opening. It is about to swing so wide that nothing will ever be able to close it again. But you must understand what happened inside your spirit during this period of delay. While the enemy was trying to slow you, heaven was strengthening you. Michael shows that your spirit has grown sharper, more sensitive, more discerning. You began to notice small shifts in people's behavior. You started to recognize energies that felt off. Your intuition began speaking louder, even without clear information. This was not paranoia, it was preparation. Heaven was tuning your discernment so that when the next season arrives, when the miracle finally steps into your life, you will be able to protect it with wisdom you did not have before. What tried to break you actually built you. There is something else Michael wants you to understand. The one who attempted to delay your miracle will not be allowed access to your blessing. Their influence has been cut off. Their energy has been blocked. Their spiritual reach has been stopped. Michael says that heaven has drawn a boundary around your destiny, and no one who carries shadows of envy, confusion, or doubt will be permitted to follow you into what is coming. Your blessing requires a purified atmosphere, and heaven is cleansing your environment right now. You may notice certain people pulling away. You may feel yourself losing interest in certain connections. You may even find silence where conversation once existed. This is not loss. It is divine removal. Your miracle is being prepared behind the scenes with accelerated movement. In the spiritual realm, there is motion, swift, determined, unstoppable. The delay is over. The interference is broken. The countdown has already begun. But Michael needs you to stay spiritually awake as this shift unfolds. There will be a moment in the coming days when something suddenly aligns, an answer, a message, a call, an opportunity, a sign that confirms everything you are hearing right now. When it happens, you will know instantly that heaven has touched the situation, and the one who tried to block your miracle will witness the very blessing they hoped you would miss. Before this part ends, Michael whispers something powerful. Your miracle has been marked urgent. What was once delayed is now being expedited with force. What was once paused is now being pushed forward with divine authority. What was once hindered is now rising without resistance. Prepare your spirit, because the next revelation will expose the deeper spiritual mechanism behind the interference and reveal the reason your blessing could never truly be stopped. Before you continue, hold this message in your spirit. Something in the next revelation will strike the core of what you've been experiencing, and once it is revealed, everything will make sense. Trust me, this next part will open your eyes in a way nothing else has. Like, share, comment, hype this message, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss what heaven is releasing for you. Type "I stand unblocked" in the comments if this is speaking to you. Blessing code 5501 is now released. Now, let the message flow into a sacred invitation. What I'm about to say is not separate from the message. It is part of the mission. Beloved soul rising into the light, Archangel Michael is unveiling a deeper layer of truth now, one that has been quietly influencing your journey without your conscious awareness. What he reveals in this moment will help you understand why the delay felt so heavy, why your spirit felt pressed, and why certain emotions have surfaced unexpectedly. This is the realm where spiritual battles touch the human heart, and Michael wants you to recognize what has truly been happening inside you. There is a spiritual law that many do not understand. Interference does not only obstruct circumstances, it attempts to influence your emotional state. This is why, even when nothing seemed obviously wrong on the outside, something inside you felt unsettled. You felt tension, doubt, fog, or exhaustion. These were not random emotional fluctuations. They were evidence that a battle was being fought on your behalf, even when you could not see it. Michael shows that the interference surrounding your miracle worked like a vibration, sending waves of discouragement to weaken your spiritual stamina. The enemy knew he could not stop your blessing permanently, so he attacked the part of you that determines how quickly you move toward it. Your motivation, your clarity, your certainty. This is why you felt yourself slowing down mentally, spiritually, or emotionally. This is why your momentum felt interrupted, as though something invisible was tugging at your steps. Michael wants you to understand that these moments were not signs of personal weakness. They were indicators that someone's energy, either intentional or unintentional, was pressing against your progress. The moment you began moving closer to your breakthrough, their thoughts, Their emotions, or their silent resistance, created a spiritual friction. But heaven is breaking that friction now. There is something incredibly important unfolding around you. Your sensitivity has increased. What once went unnoticed now stirs your awareness. What once felt like ordinary stress now feels like a signal. This heightened sensitivity is not a burden, it is a gift. Michael has been sharpening your discernment because the miracle you are about to receive requires you to protect it with spiritual wisdom. You cannot walk into this next season trusting blindly, giving freely to all, or allowing everyone access to your inner world. The blessing approaching your life is too significant, too delicate, too divinely crafted to be surrounded by the wrong energy. Michael has allowed these delays to reveal the truth of people's intentions, so you would know who can walk with you, who cannot, and who must remain at a distance. Michael shows you standing in a circle of light, and around this circle is a boundary heaven has drawn. This boundary was not always there. It was created because the interference tried to breach your spiritual space. Someone's jealousy, someone's manipulation, or someone's emotional projection attempted to slip into your energy field. They might not have acted outwardly, but internally, the thoughts carried weight. Thoughts create resonance. Intentions create frequency, and their frequency collided with your progress. But now, Michael stands at the perimeter of this boundary, sword embedded into the ground, declaring that no shadow will cross into your life again without being exposed and removed. There is also a profound truth Michael wants you to understand about the delay. It protected you from receiving the miracle prematurely. Sometimes heaven delays a blessing not because you are unprepared, but because the environment around you is not yet safe enough for the blessing to flourish. If the miracle had arrived earlier, it would have been vulnerable. It could have been influenced, tainted, drained, or sabotaged by the wrong presence. The delay ensured the removal of interference before the blessing manifested. Michael says, the blessing must never be placed into unclean hands. Heaven waited until the interference exposed itself, and now that the truth is known, the miracle is ready to be released without restriction. But there is more. Michael reveals that this blessing carries a generational weight. It is not just for you. It is connected to your lineage, your future, your purpose, and the people who will benefit from your obedience. This miracle is meant to shift your story in a way that breaks old patterns, dissolves generational limitations, and sets a new spiritual standard for those who come after you. Because of this, the enemy intensified the delay, hoping that if he could not steal the blessing, he could at least weaken its impact. But his attempt failed. What he meant for delay became preparation. What he meant for frustration became revelation. And what he meant for obstruction became elevation. Michael now brings your attention to the present moment. Something in your atmosphere is already changing. In the past 24 hours, you may have felt a subtle lift, a moment of clarity, or a sudden surge of inner strength. These are signs that the interference has already begun to crumble. Your spirit is rising again. Your clarity is returning. Your motivation is rebuilding itself. You are stepping back into your divine rhythm, the rhythm that makes miracles flow, opportunities open, and protection surround you. Michael is clearing the path ahead so thoroughly that the moment your miracle arrives, it will not compete with resistance. It will glide straight into your life. But before you continue, Michael urges you to stay attentive. The next revelation will explain why this interference targeted you specifically, why the timing mattered, and why heaven refused to let the delay continue any longer. What Michael is about to reveal will make you see your entire journey in a new light. Wait for it, because what comes next carries a truth that will reshape your understanding of the spiritual battle you have been walking through. Type "My path is cleared" in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 8114 is now released. Child of divine resilience, Archangel Michael steps forward now with a revelation that reaches into the very root of why this spiritual interference targeted you so intensely. He wants you to understand that the battle surrounding your life has never been about what you currently possess. It has always been about who you are becoming. Helen has been shaping you into someone whose presence disrupts darkness, whose voice carries spiritual authority, and whose destiny influences others in ways that shift atmospheres. The enemy recognized this long before you did, and that is why he tried to delay your miracle. The delay was never simply about slowing your blessing. It was about slowing the version of you that emerges once that blessing arrives. Michael reveals that your miracle is tied to your identity, your purpose, and your spiritual expansion. When the enemy attempted to delay the miracle, he was attempting to delay your evolution. Michael shows that the interference targeted your momentum, because momentum is one of the greatest threats to darkness. When you are in motion, when you are believing, praying, declaring, discerning, and stepping forward, the spiritual realm responds with acceleration. But when momentum is interrupted, energy becomes fragmented. You begin stepping hesitantly instead of boldly, slowly instead of confidently. This is precisely what the enemy hoped to achieve. He knew he could not take the blessing heaven assigned to you, so he tried to weaken your confidence in receiving it. He tried to produce hesitation, hoping you would doubt yourself at the very moment when you needed to stand firm. But heaven intervened before hesitation became surrender. You felt the delay, you felt the pressure, but you did not break. And because you did not break, heaven is now releasing a compensation that multiplies the original blessing. There is something Michael wants you to hear clearly. Part of the reason the interference targeted you is because you carry a spiritual signature that threatens every force of delay. Your presence carries light that disarms confusion. Your intuition reveals truth before deception takes root. Your spirit awakens breakthroughs for others simply by being connected to them. This is why the enemy used someone close or familiar as a channel of interference, because he needed proximity to attempt to affect you. But proximity does not equal authority. He could only create delay, never destruction. And now that Michael has cut off the access point, the one who carried the shadow toward your path will find themselves unable to influence your journey again. Michael is also showing that the interference intensified during a period when your spirit was preparing for expansion. You may have noticed that right before the delay, you began feeling spiritually elevated, more hopeful, more aligned, more expectant. That elevation signaled to the enemy that a breakthrough was near. The heaviness that followed was not your spirit falling. It was the enemy attempting to counteract your rise. But because heaven saw your increasing sensitivity, Michael stepped in earlier than usual. He shielded your spirit from internalizing the interference. He blocked the heaviness from turning into hopelessness. He prevented the doubt from taking root. This is why, even in your most discouraged moments, you still felt a quiet knowing that something greater was coming. That knowing was Michael's protection. Now, Michael reveals the truth that will make everything clearer. The reason the interference could not succeed is because your miracle is not just an event. It is a divine appointment. It is scheduled in heaven. It is tied to your soul contract. It carries purpose beyond your personal desires. It impacts people you have not met yet, situations you will step into, environments where your presence will shift outcomes. The enemy loves disrupting blessings that influence others, which is why he fought this one with such determination. But Michael assures you that divine appointments cannot be canceled. They can only be temporarily paused. And now the pause has ended. You may have noticed certain signs recently. Dreams with strong symbolism, sudden moments of clarity, repeating numbers, unexpected encounters, or sudden shifts in your emotional atmosphere. Michael reveals that these signs were heaven recalibrating your spirit, preparing you for the release. You were not imagining these nudges. They were messages that your miracle is approaching again, this time with no resistance capable of slowing it down. Heaven has begun rearranging circumstances to bring alignment back into your path. What felt stagnant is about to move swiftly. What felt distant is drawing near. What felt uncertain is becoming unmistakably clear. Michael now draws attention to the emotional residue left by the delay. He wants you to release the frustration, the disappointment, and the confusion that settled in your heart. These emotions were a byproduct of the interference, but they do not belong in your spirit as the miracle approaches. Heaven is cleansing you so that when the blessing arrives, you receive it with open joy rather than guarded caution. You are being prepared to accept what is coming with full confidence, not hesitation. The blessing will not arrive into a weary heart, it will arrive into a restored one. And heaven is restoring you right now. But Michael says there is one more layer you must understand before the next revelation unfolds. The person whose energy interfered with your blessing will soon reveal themselves, not through confrontation, but through behavior that confirms what your spirit already sensed. This revelation will not bring anger, it will bring clarity. It will not bring fear, it will bring release. It will not bring conflict, it will bring peace. Because once the truth is revealed, the emotional and spiritual residue of the delay will finally break off you completely. Hold on tightly now, because the next unfolding carries a truth that will illuminate the entire purpose behind the battle you have endured. Wait for it, because the moment it arrives, everything you have questioned will suddenly align. Type "My miracle returns to me" in the comments if this message is resonating. Blessing code 9047 is now released. Sacred One chosen for elevation. Archangel Michael steps even nearer in this moment, and the atmosphere around his message becomes heavier with truth, clarity, and divine exposure. He reveals that you have entered a phase of spiritual unveiling, a season where hidden motives, concealed energies, and unspoken intentions begin to rise to the surface. What he is about to show you is not meant to disturb your heart, but to prepare your spirit for the miracle that is moving toward you with unstoppable force. The interference that tried to delay your blessing was not only an attack on your progress, it was a test that exposed the difference between those who admire you and those who quietly compete with you. And now that heaven has identified the source, the interference has lost its grip entirely. Michael shows an image of you standing between two realms, the realm of what you have endured and the realm of what you are about to receive. In the realm behind you, shadows cling to old conversations, past disappointments, and subtle betrayals. In the realm ahead of you, light is breaking open doors, repositioning opportunities, and releasing divine timing like a river that cannot be slowed. The enemy hoped that the delay would make you comfortable in the shadows, uncertain in your ability to step forward, or unwilling to trust the call on your spirit. But your endurance became your weapon. What was meant to drain you instead awakened a strength in you that the interference was never prepared to face. Michael reveals something profound. The interference increased because you were moments away from a shift that would elevate your spiritual authority. You were stepping into a version of yourself that carries deeper discernment, sharper intuition, stronger boundaries, and a louder spiritual voice. This new version of you threatens every force that once felt confident in approaching your energy. The enemy tried to delay this transformation, hoping to keep you operating at a level where you could still be distracted, discouraged, or derailed. But heaven accelerated your inner growth faster than the interference could handle. This is why, Even while the delay was active, your spirit was quietly rising. You began noticing things you once overlooked. You felt truths you could not yet articulate. Your awareness sharpened. Your inner knowing intensified. This was Michael preparing you. Michael now exposes why the interference felt personal. The one whose energy collided with your blessing held a mixture of admiration and insecurity toward your spirit. They saw your light, but also saw what they feared they lacked. They did not speak against you, but their thoughts carried worry, jealousy, or silent doubt. These emotions, though unspoken, released a frequency that tugged at your spiritual alignment. Their energy created a temporary blockage because you were connected to them in some form. Through conversation, emotion, memory, or proximity. That connection served as a doorway. But Michael has shut the doorway completely. Their influence has been severed. Their energy can no longer reach your path. Their doubts can no longer press into your spirit. They have been spiritually distanced from your destiny. This is why your emotions have shifted recently. You may have felt an unexpected calm, a sudden detachment from certain people, or a clarity that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Michael wants you to know these sensations were not random. They were the evidence of spiritual separation. Heaven is removing any influence that could taint the miracle approaching your life. Your spirit is being purified because a blessing of this magnitude requires emotional clarity, mental stillness, and spiritual readiness. Nothing unaligned will be able to stand near you once the miracle steps forward. Your energy is being elevated, and those who do not match this elevation will naturally fall away. Michael reveals another truth. The delay gave you time to notice what you once ignored. There were subtle signs, words that carried hidden meanings, actions that revealed concealed intentions, moments where you felt drained after certain interactions, or conversations that left you spiritually unsettled. If the blessing had arrived too quickly, you might have overlooked these signs and allowed the wrong presence to influence your miracle. But the delay brought everything to the surface. Heaven allowed you to feel the weight of this person's energy so you would recognize it instantly. Your spirit now knows who cannot be brought with you into your next season. This knowledge will protect you long after the blessing arrives. The miracle returning to you now carries a spiritual purity it did not have before. It has been cleansed of interference, shielded from sabotage, and strengthened by divine fire. Heaven did not simply restore your blessing, heaven fortified it. Michael stands guard over this blessing with unwavering authority. He has declared that no interference, no shadow, no envy, and no doubt will be allowed to touch it again. What once hindered you can no longer approach you. What once slurred you can no longer find you. What once whispered against you can no longer be heard in your atmosphere. Michael wants you to prepare your spirit for what comes next. Heaven is about to reveal the deeper purpose of this battle, and when it is revealed, you will understand why you had to endure the delay, why you had to feel the interference, and why heaven intervened so powerfully. There is a divine reason for everything, and the next revelation will tie all of these threads together into one clear, undeniable truth. Hold on, because we are approaching the moment where everything aligns and the battle begins to make sense. The next unfolding will open your eyes to the magnitude of the miracle that is being released. Type "I walk in divine clarity" if this resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 6670 is now released. Beloved vessel of divine purpose, Archangel Michael steps forward again with a revelation that carries the gravity of heaven itself. This message reaches deeper than the previous ones, because it touches the core of why the spiritual battle rose against you with such intensity. Michael reveals that your destiny holds a ripple effect far beyond your personal life, and this ripple is what the enemy feared most. The attempt to delay your miracle was not rooted solely in envy. resistance, or spiritual interference from another person. It was rooted in the fear of what will happen once you receive what heaven has prepared for you. The blessing coming into your life has the power to break generational cycles, empower your voice, elevate your influence, and realign everything connected to your future. This is why the resistance was targeted, strategic, and persistent. But now, as Michael speaks, the power that once attempted to hinder you has dissolved like smoke in the wind. Michael wants you to understand the spiritual architecture surrounding your life. You were not born into this world as a passive soul wandering through experiences without purpose. You arrived carrying a spiritual blueprint stitched with resilience, transformation, healing, intuition, authority, and divine calling. Every blessing meant for you is tied to that blueprint. The enemy knows that once this next breakthrough arrives, you will enter a phase of spiritual acceleration that cannot be undone. Every step you take afterward will move with more power, more clarity, more confidence, and more influence. Heaven has been shaping your identity in silence, but once the miracle arrives, that shaping becomes visible. This visibility terrifies the forces that wish to keep you small, hidden, muted, or delayed. Michael is showing an image now of a heavy stone that was placed in the center of your spiritual path. This stone represents interference, but not merely emotional interference or energetic disturbance. It represents a strategic block placed there with the hope that you would internalize it. The enemy knows that an external block can be removed by angels, but an internal block must be removed by your own awakening. The delay was meant to make you doubt yourself. It was meant to make you question whether you were worthy of the miracle. It was meant to convince you that maybe heaven changed its mind. But you never fully accepted those lies, even in your lowest moments. That resistance inside you, that refusal to surrender, was the fire of your spirit rising beyond the interference. Michael reveals that the very moments where you felt most discouraged were the moments your spirit was fighting most powerfully on your behalf. You may not have realized it, but your prayers, your sighs, your whispers, your tears, and your silent hopes were all spiritual commands that activated angelic movement. The reason Michael came into this battle is because your spirit cried out without words, and heaven responded with force. You were not abandoned in the delay. You were defended in silence. Now Michael guides your attention to something that happened recently, something small yet significant. It may have been a sudden moment of clarity, an unexpected shift in mood, a release of heaviness, or a dream that felt strangely vivid. These were signals from the divine realm indicating that the block had been broken. Heaven does not wait until the miracle appears to send signs. Heaven sends signs when the battle is already won. The shift you felt was not your imagination. It was confirmation. Michael also reveals that the person whose energy interfered with your path has already begun experiencing spiritual disconnection from your journey. This is why you may feel emotional distance or a decreasing sense of attachment to them. Heaven is not punishing them. Heaven is protecting you. Michael wants you to understand that some people are not meant to accompany you into certain realms of blessing because their energy cannot sustain the weight of your next season. They may not be malicious, but their presence carries instability, confusion, or emotional lack that could damage your growth. Heaven removes people not out of cruelty but out of divine strategy. And now Michael turns your attention to the reason the enemy chose this moment to interfere. There is a divine alignment approaching you that is rare, powerful, and life-changing. Certain spiritual windows open only occasionally, and when they open, blessings flow in ways that rewrite destiny. You are standing before one of these windows right now. The timing of your miracle is not random. It is synchronized with your spiritual awakening and your readiness to receive. The enemy sensed the window opening and rushed to interfere. But Hen sensed it too, and responded first. Michael reveals that this next blessing is not isolated. It comes with companions. Along with the miracle comes restoration, clarity, protection, elevation, and opportunities that have been waiting for your spirit to reach this frequency. The blessing approaching you will not arrive alone. It will bring a sequence of shifts that unfold one after another, breaking every lingering pattern of stagnation in your life. This is why the attack intensifies. This is why the delay felt heavier than anything before it. The magnitude of your blessing determined the magnitude of the interference. But now Michael stands before you with victory in his voice. The interference is destroyed. The block is shattered. The spiritual hand that tried to hold you back has been removed completely. Every delay that once pressed against your life has dissolved. Now heaven moves freely on your behalf. Michael says the next phase of this message will reveal why heaven guarded you so fiercely and why your destiny carries a weight that extends beyond your personal story. This next revelation will bring everything into perfect clarity. Stay with this message, because the truth that comes next will awaken a deeper understanding of your purpose. Before you scroll away, hold on. Something extraordinary is about to be revealed. Type "I receive my destiny" shift if this message is resonating. Blessing code 3130 is now released. Beloved guardian of divine legacy, Archangel Michael steps forward now with a message that carries the weight of destiny and the clarity of heaven's own breath. What he is about to reveal will not only explain the spiritual battle you endured, but it will also expose the deeper purpose behind the intensity of the delay. Michael shows that the interference was not simply meant to stall your blessing. It was meant to silence the awakening that this blessing would activate within you. The enemy does not attack randomly. He attacks at the moment of spiritual expansion. And you, chosen one, were standing on the verge of an awakening that would elevate your voice, increase your insight, and strengthen your spiritual authority in ways you may not yet fully understand. That is why the delay came. Not because you were weak, but because your spirit was rising too quickly for the forces of resistance to remain comfortable. Michael now reveals an image of your spiritual timeline. There are moments in your journey where heaven scheduled elevation, and this moment, this season, is one of those divinely appointed thresholds. You were not simply transitioning into a new phase. You were crossing into an entirely new realm of spiritual maturity. The enemy recognized this transition long before you consciously felt it, and he used someone close enough to influence your atmosphere as a point of interference. Michael explains that spiritual interference often enters through emotional pathways. When someone connected to you holds jealousy, insecurity, resentment, or doubt, those emotions can project into your energy field, especially when your spirit is expanding. This person may not have acted outwardly, but their vibration clashed with your elevation. Heaven allowed you to feel this clash, so you could identify what no longer aligns with the new version of you emerging. What Michael emphasizes now is that your blessing is tied to your evolution, and that evolution is tied to your mission. This next miracle was never meant to simply improve your life. It was meant to awaken your influence. There is something inside you, wisdom, healing, vision, purpose, that will impact others once it is activated by the blessing heaven is releasing. The enemy feared that activation. That is why the delay was engineered. But the attempt failed. Heaven has already shifted the spiritual atmosphere in your favor, and the interference has been fully severed. The blessing that was paused is now moving forward like a rushing current breaking through every obstruction. Michael reveals that during the delay, your spiritual senses became sharper. You began noticing patterns you once ignored. Your intuition spoke louder. Your dreams became more meaningful. Your emotions became more honest. This sharpening was not accidental. It was necessary. Heaven has been preparing you to carry the weight of what is coming. A blessing of this magnitude requires clarity, and now you have it. A blessing of this magnitude requires boundaries, and now you are learning to set them. A blessing of this magnitude requires courage, and now your spirit has grown strong enough to receive it without fear. There is also something Michael wants you to understand about the interference. It did not come to destroy your miracle. It came to reveal your strength. You survived the pressure. You survived the confusion. You survived the pause. And because you endured, you are now stepping into a season where blessings will flow without resistance. The blessing that was delayed has gathered momentum. The energy around your life is shifting rapidly. Signs will begin to appear in unexpected ways. Conversations will shift. Opportunities will reappear. Clarity will sharpen. And the person whose energy interfered will no longer hold any spiritual influence over your journey. That door has closed permanently. Michael now turns your attention to what comes next. The heavenly realm is preparing a sequence of events that will unfold one after another. These events will confirm that heaven has stepped into your circumstances with force. You may notice sudden breakthroughs, unexpected messages, opportunities that return after disappearing, or moments where things align with surprising ease. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are the manifestation of a battle won behind the scenes. They are the evidence that heaven is moving. There is a reason this message has reached you now. There is a reason your spirit feels this truth so deeply. There is a reason you are being guided through this unfolding. You are not entering a blessing. You are entering a transformation. You are not receiving something small. You are stepping into something monumental. And the interference only proved how powerful your destiny truly is. Michael says the next revelation will reveal the full purpose of this battle. It will show you why your spirit was chosen for a journey of this magnitude and why your name carries spiritual authority in the unseen realms. Stay with this message, because the truth that unfolds next will reshape the way you view your entire path. Before you move forward, pause. This next part will shift everything you thought you understood. Like, share, comment, and make sure you subscribe so this message continues to reach your spirit at the exact moment heaven intends. Type "I am protected by heaven" if this message resonates. Blessing code 7710 is now released. Beloved Spirit rising in divine authority, Archangel Michael steps closer now with a revelation that carries both weight and clarity, one that begins to tie together all the threads of this battle you have endured. He reveals that the spiritual interference you faced was not isolated, not accidental, and not merely emotional or energetic. It was part of a larger pattern, one that has been present throughout your life, surfacing at critical moments when breakthrough was near. Every time you approached a threshold of elevation, something appeared to slow you, distract you, or cloud your confidence. You may have noticed this pattern before, but could never fully explain it. Michael now exposes the truth. This interference has been trying to attach itself to your destiny for years, waiting for moments of great transition. But the difference this time is that heaven intervened before the pattern could repeat again. Michael shows that your spirit is entering a phase where old cycles are being permanently broken. The delay you experienced was not an indication of failure. It was the final flare of an old spiritual resistance that has run out of power. Your awakening, the internal shift you've been feeling, has weakened the enemy's ability to reach you in the ways it once did. You are no longer reacting the way you used to react. You are no longer influenced in the ways you once were. Your spirit has grown stronger, and your discernment sharper, to the point where old tactics no longer work. The enemy sensed this, which is why the interference came with such force. It was a final attempt to hold on to a cycle that is now collapsing under the weight of your spiritual growth. Michael reveals something profound now. He shows that your blessing carries a frequency that is not easy to touch. Not everyone has access to the spiritual realm in the way you do. Not everyone dreams the way you dream, senses the way you sense, or perceives what lies beneath the surface. You are spiritually sensitive in a way that makes interference possible, but also in a way that makes breakthrough unstoppable. What was once a vulnerability has now become a strength. Your awareness is no longer something the enemy can exploit. It has become something heaven can use. The very sensitivity that once made you vulnerable is now what qualifies you for this next level. Michael brings your attention to an important truth. You were not meant to go through this battle blindly. Every feeling of heaviness, every moment of confusion, every whisper of resistance served as spiritual signals. Your intuition was guiding you. Your dreams were revealing hidden truths. Your sudden emotional shifts were warnings that something was pressing into your energy. You were not being punished. You were being awakened. Heaven was training your spirit to recognize interference faster than before. What used to take you weeks or months to notice, you can now discern in hours or even minutes. This is a sign of spiritual maturity. Michael explains that the one whose energy interfered with your blessing was never meant to travel into your next season with you. Their presence in your life represented an old vibration, an old version of you, or an old emotional pattern. They were connected to a part of your journey that has now ended. And because this new season requires a higher frequency, their influence had to be removed. Heaven does not remove people out of cruelty. Heaven removes them out of alignment. Your destiny requires an atmosphere that supports growth, clarity, strength, and spiritual elevation. This person's energy, even if unintentional, began pulling you downward. That is why heaven intervened. Michael also reveals that the momentum behind your miracle has returned, but with even greater power. What was once delayed is now accelerated. What once paused is now unfolding rapidly. Opportunities, alignment, clarity, and divine timing are all converging. The blessing that comes to you now will come with such force that you will no longer question whether you are ready. The blessing itself will confirm that heaven prepared you perfectly. The confusion that accompanied the delay is being replaced with certainty. The exhaustion is being replaced with strength. The uncertainty is being replaced with divine knowing. And now Michael draws you deeper into the purpose of this battle. He reveals that the delay had a hidden intention, to prepare you for responsibility. Your blessing carries weight, not the weight of burden, but the weight of purpose. Heaven is entrusting you with something that influences not just your personal life, but your spiritual path. The blessing coming is connected to your healing, your voice, your influence, and your ability to bring light into places that have lacked clarity. This is why the enemy fought it. This is why heaven protected it. This is why your spirit felt the intensity of the battle. You are being prepared for a destiny that extends far beyond your current understanding. Michael says the next revelation will explain why your spirit is so crucial to heaven's plan, why the enemy feared this moment, and why your breakthrough carries a ripple effect that extends into your future generations. What comes next will illuminate your calling in a way you may have never recognized before. Before you continue, pause for a moment. The next unfolding holds a truth, so profound that it may shift the way you see your entire journey. Type "My destiny is unstoppable" if this message resonates. Blessing code 9924 is now released. Beloved soul walking into divine fulfillment, Archangel Michael steps forward with a depth of revelation that reaches into the very architecture of your destiny. What he unveils now is not only a continuation of the spiritual truth you have been receiving, but a higher layer that explains why the opposition against your life has been so calculated, so persistent, and so specifically timed. Michael reveals that the attack you faced was not merely about the present moment, it was about your future impact. The enemy saw the shape of your calling before you fully understood it. He saw the influence you would carry, the healing you would bring, the clarity you would release, and the people who would be transformed simply because you stepped into your purpose. This interference, this delay, this pressure, it all came because the enemy feared the ripple effect of your awakening. Michael shows an image of your spirit glowing with a frequency that expands far beyond your physical presence. Some souls carry light for themselves, but your soul carries light for others. When you heal, others heal. When you break free, others break free. When you rise, others find strength to rise as well. Your miracle is not only a blessing, it is a signal to those connected to your journey that breakthrough is possible. This is why the enemy wanted to slow you. He hoped that if he delayed your miracle long enough, the people who were meant to receive hope through your testimony would never see the transformation. But heaven has intervened in a way that ensures nothing will stop the spread of your light. Michael reveals that there is a specific anointing over your life, an anointing of revelation. This means that your spirit has the ability to see truth beyond the surface, to feel what others cannot feel, and to discern what others overlook. This anointing is powerful, but it also attracts resistance because truth disrupts illusions. Every time you approach a season of greater clarity, the enemy attempts to create confusion. Every time you move closer to your divine assignment, he tries to cloud your vision. But your discernment has now grown stronger than his interference. What once confused you no longer holds power. What once distracted you now appears obvious. What once made you doubt now only strengthens your intuition. Michael shows that the delay you experienced acted like a mirror held up to your spirit. It forced you to see what was weakening your energy, what was distracting your focus, and what was lowering your vibration. The delay exposed the old patterns that could not travel with you into your next season. Without this exposure, parts of you would have remained unprepared for the magnitude of the blessing. Heaven does not release a miracle into an unprotected environment. It waits until the atmosphere is stable enough to hold it. And your atmosphere is stable now. Michael wants you to understand the depth of transformation that has taken place inside you. You have grown in ways you may not yet realize. Your emotional boundaries are stronger. Your spiritual awareness is sharper. Your ability to detect dishonesty, manipulation, or misalignment has increased. You do not attach easily anymore. You do not trust blindly anymore. You do not overlook your intuition anymore. This is spiritual maturity, and it is the reason your next miracle can safely enter your life. Michael reveals another layer of truth. The enemy used someone close because distant interference would not have reached you. This person's energy, whether intentional or unconscious, created an opening that the enemy tried to use. Their emotions, fears, jealousy, or doubts projected into your path. But heaven has now blocked that projection entirely. Michael says that the spiritual cord between you and that person has been cut. Their ability to influence your clarity has ended. Their access to your emotional space has been removed. Their energy no longer touches your destiny. Now heaven is clearing the remnants of the delay. Every residue of confusion, heaviness, exhaustion, and emotional weariness is being lifted. The weight on your spirit is dissolving. The fog around your mind is clearing. The tension in your heart is loosening. You are stepping back into divine alignment, and this alignment is powerful. When you are aligned, blessings flow without obstruction, intuition speaks without distortion, and divine timing moves like a river rushing through your life. Michael says the miracle that was delayed has already been resealed with divine fire. No shadow can approach it now. No energy can influence it. No interference can alter it. It is coming to you with a force that cannot be stopped. The enemy's attempts have failed. Heaven's plans have prevailed. Michael now points to an important truth about your destiny. You were never meant to walk an ordinary path. This is why your battles have been unusual. This is why your struggles have been spiritual. This is why your delays have carried such weight. The magnitude of your calling has shaped the magnitude of your challenges. But now the magnitude of your breakthrough will overshadow every pressure you endured. There is something else Michael wants to prepare you for. In the days to come, you may notice sudden intuition spikes, unexpected moments of clarity, or emotional shifts that feel like spiritual downloads. These are signs that your miracle is drawing closer. Heaven is aligning your steps so precisely that you will begin to see divine patterns emerging where there once seemed to be chaos. Opportunities that once felt distant will reappear. Conversations you thought were forgotten will return. Paths that seemed blocked will open again with ease. The next revelation will go even deeper. It will show you the divine assignment connected to your blessing, the purpose behind your elevation, and the reason heaven fought so fiercely for your breakthrough. This truth will illuminate the spiritual significance of your life in a way that may bring tears to your eyes. Hold on, because what comes next will shift the way you understand your identity, your calling, and your place in the divine plan. Type "I am ready for divine revelation" if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 1017 is now released. Be Love's soul entrusted with divine destiny. Archangel Michael steps forward with a revelation so deep, so clarifying, and so spiritually precise that it brings together every message you have received until now. This is the moment where the meaning behind the interference, the delay, the pressure, the awakening, and the restoration finally becomes unmistakably clear. Michael reveals that the battle surrounding your life has never been about random attacks or isolated resistance. It has always been about your identity. Not the identity you show the world, but the identity heaven wrote inside your spirit before you ever entered this lifetime. This identity carries purpose, carries influence, carries calling, and carries an assignment that the enemy has been trying to intercept since the moment you began to awaken to your true self. Michael shows an image of your spiritual essence glowing in the realm of light, and around it, he shows threads connecting you to people, places, and moments you have not yet experienced, but are destined to encounter. These threads represent your future impact. You are meant to speak words that free others. You are meant to step into spaces where your presence shifts energy. You are meant to walk into environments that need clarity, healing, truth, and transformation. You are meant to carry wisdom that speaks to the parts of people they forgot existed. You are meant to stand in your calling with a strength that inspires others to rise. You were never meant to be ordinary. That is why the resistance has been extraordinary. Michael reveals that the interference you faced was an attempt to keep you from fully realizing this identity, because once you know who you are, the enemy loses every strategy he once used against you. Delay is powerless against someone who knows their purpose. Confusion is powerless against someone who knows their identity. Interference is powerless against someone who walks in divine authority. The entire purpose of this battle was to stop you from reaching the level of awareness that you are entering right now. Michael shows that your spirit has passed through a spiritual threshold, one that many people never reach. This threshold is the place where you stop reacting from fear and start responding from clarity. The place where your intuition becomes louder than external noise. The place where your discernment becomes sharper than deception. The place where your alignment with the divine becomes stronger than any attack. You have stepped into this threshold. The enemy recognized it and attempted to push you backward. But heaven has anchored you in place so firmly that nothing can pull you from this elevation. Michael explains something crucial. The person whose energy interfered with your path was used because their connection to you created a point of access. The enemy looks for emotional doors, familiar doors, nostalgic doors. He used the bond, not because the person was evil, but because their emotions were unhealed. Jealousy, insecurity, fear, or comparison created a spiritual doorway. But now Michael has sealed that doorway. Heaven has placed a barrier, so powerful that their energy cannot cross into your atmosphere anymore. This is why you may have felt sudden emotional detachment, sudden clarity about their intentions, or sudden peace about distancing yourself. Heaven was doing the work for you. Michael reveals that your spirit has entered a stage where your energy is sacred. Not everyone can be given access. Not everyone can understand your calling. Not everyone can stand close to the fire you carry without being burned by their own unhealed wounds. You are stepping into a season where heaven becomes protective of your time, your heart, your mind, and your spiritual power. People will begin to fall away not because you pushed them out, but because your elevation no longer aligns with their vibration. This is divine protection, not abandonment. Michael brings your attention now to the miracle that is returning to your life. He shows that the blessing coming toward you carries instructions, opportunities, and connections that will activate your purpose in ways you have not yet imagined. This breakthrough is not random. It is strategic. It is connected to a chapter of your destiny that the enemy tried to close but could not. The interference was an attempt to stop you from stepping into a higher timeline. But the timeline has now merged with your present, and nothing can separate you from what heaven has arranged. Michael reveals something extraordinary. The delay strengthened your spiritual authority. You are not the same person who began this battle. During the interference, you grew in ways you would not have grown if everything had flowed easily. You developed resilience. You developed emotional intelligence. You developed spiritual vigilance. You developed trust in your intuition. You developed confidence in your connection with the divine. These qualities have become your armor, and this armor ensures that the blessing coming to you now will not be lost, stolen, sabotaged, or delayed ever again. Heaven is about to reposition you. Opportunities that disappeared will return. Doors that once remained closed will open with ease. People who once underestimated you will begin to sense your spiritual elevation without understanding how it happened. You will feel yourself stepping into an atmosphere of divine movement, things aligning quickly, breakthroughs happening without resistance, clarity coming instantly, and your spirit feeling lighter, sharper, and more powerful. Michael says the next revelation will complete the message. It will reveal why heaven guarded you so fiercely, why your spirit was chosen, and what your destiny is preparing to unlock in the world. This final unfolding will shift your understanding of who you are at the deepest level. Before you move forward, pause and prepare your heart. The final revelation carries the meaning behind your entire journey. Type "I step into my divine identity" if this message resonates. Blessing code 4409 is now released. Beloved soul chosen for divine unfolding, Archangel Michael steps forward now with the final revelation, the one that gathers every message before this and weaves it into a single, undeniable truth about your destiny. He speaks with a power that settles into the deepest layers of your spirit, because what he is about to reveal is not merely information. It is identity, purpose, calling, and sacred assignment. This is the moment where the spiritual battle you endured becomes clear. This is where every delay, every interference, every moment of heaviness finds its meaning. Michael reveals that your life was never meant to be defined by the battles you faced. Your life is defined by the assignment heaven placed within you before you were born. The enemy did not rise against you because you were weak. He rose because heaven marked you as a carrier of transformation long before you took your first breath. Michael shows an image of you standing in a radiant field of light, and from your spirit flows a stream that reaches far beyond your personal journey. This stream represents influence, healing, revelation, and spiritual activation. You are not just someone walking through life. You are someone whose presence awakens dormant potential in others. You carry an energy that disrupts darkness without trying. You carry wisdom that speaks into pain without forcing. You carry discernment that sees truth even when it is hidden. This is why the enemy tried to interfere with your miracle, because your miracle is tied to your mission. If he could delay the blessing, he could delay the awakening of the countless people who will be touched by your elevation. Michael reveals that the battle surrounding your life was not simply meant to exhaust you. It was meant to intimidate you. If you doubted your worth, you would retreat. If you doubted your intuition, you would hesitate. If you doubted your alignment, you would withdraw your own spiritual authority. But heaven did not allow the enemy's plan to take root. Every time you felt weak, a surge of inner strength rose from within you. Every time confusion tried to cloud your mind, clarity found a way to break through. Every time heaviness pressed into your spirit, something inside whispered that this was not the end. That whisper was Michael's shield protecting your faith. Michael now reveals why heaven guarded you so fiercely. You are stepping into a destiny that carries generational impact. Your breakthrough will not only shift your life, it will shift the lives of those connected to you spiritually, emotionally, and even through future generations. There are people who will rise because you rose. There are people who will believe because you believe. There are people who will find courage because you refuse to surrender. This is why heaven refused to let the interference continue. This is why angels were dispatched on your behalf. This is why Michael himself ended the battle. Your destiny is not simply important, it is essential. Heaven is now placing a mantle of clarity over your life. This mantle will allow you to see through confusion with ease, recognize spiritual interference instantly, and move with confidence in the direction heaven is guiding you. You are stepping into a season where you will not question your intuition, because your intuition will become your compass. You will not question your worth, because your worth will be reflected in every blessing poured into your life. You will not question your path because heaven is lighting it step by step. Michael reveals that the miracle returning to you now has been refined, fortified, and amplified. What was once delayed has now multiplied. The blessing carries a spiritual authority that cannot be touched by darkness. It is shielded, sealed, and marked by divine fire. When it enters your life, it will bring confirmation, elevation, and acceleration. Doors will open swiftly. Opportunities will appear naturally. People meant for your destiny will be drawn into your path without effort. This blessing is a signal that your spiritual season has shifted permanently. Michael speaks with finality now. The enemy has lost access to your timeline. The one whose energy interfered with your blessing can no longer touch your spirit. The delay that once overshadowed your progress has been destroyed. The spiritual blockage has been shattered. You are standing in a new realm of authority, And in this realm, miracles do not trickle, they flow. Opportunities do not hesitate, they arrive. Blessings do not delay, they accelerate. Heaven is calling you into alignment with your highest purpose. You are being prepared to walk in the fullness of who you were created to be. You are being prepared to speak with power, move with confidence, and embody the spiritual strength you have gained through this battle. Your spirit is ready. Your heart is ready. Your path is ready. And now your miracle is ready too. Michael says that your story is about to shift dramatically. You will soon look back on this season and understand why the battle was so fierce, because what is coming is far greater than what was delayed. The interference could not stop you. The delay could not break you. The enemy could not silence you. And now heaven is releasing you into everything that was meant to be yours from the beginning. Before you move forward into this new season, pause. You are standing at the threshold of divine fulfillment. The next moments of your life will reveal the truth of everything heaven has promised you. Like, share, comment, hide this message, and make sure you subscribe so these revelations continue to reach your spirit exactly when heaven intends them to. Type "I step into my destiny now" if this message resonates. Blessing code 9911 is now released.